What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, this is Auto Detour, and on last week's episode we got all of the hot side piping taken off, including the turbo off of my single turbo F150 here that has the blown 5.4 in it. When I say blown, I don't mean boosted, I mean it's actually blown up. We're working our way towards getting the blown motor taken out so that we can put our built 5.4 sitting on the engine stand over here put in. So in today's episode there are a few things I want to get done. First and foremost, we got to finish getting the headers off. I really want to find that hole in the block. We found our little souvenir chunk from the block sitting on the frame rail. So we know there's got to be a hole in the block somewhere and we've got to find it. I haven't found it yet. Then after that, we're gonna start on the cold side, moving all the peripheral stuff. You know, I have some wires running through the firewall for things like the boost gauge, boost controller, and all that stuff. So getting everything disconnected. Still got all the cold side piping. We got the intercooler piping going down here, the charge pipe, all that fun stuff's gotta come off. And I haven't decided if I wanna pull everything off the front and pull the engine, or since we have a lift in the garage, would it be easier to lift the cab up and roll the chassis out from underneath and take the engine out that way? I think that would be an interesting way to do it, but my ceilings are just under 10 feet. I'm not sure that'll be possible, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below which way we should pull that motor. Plenty of work to do. Let's jump right into it. So jumping right back into where we left off here, I actually got most of the bolts out here. I can't unscrew that one any further because it's hitting the header. So I just have two left. That one right up in there, and then the top one back here. So as you can imagine, they're not super easy to get to. All the studs have been coming out with the nuts, so I mean that's better than them breaking off like the first time when we took the stock ones out. But so let's finish getting those last 2.5 out of there, and then we'll go over and work on the driver's side. Whew, there we go. Finally got this passenger side turbo header off. Unfortunately, I cannot see a hole in the block yet. It's gotta be behind this engine mount or something. Well, we just gotta keep digging till we find it. But in case you're wondering if there's any oil in the exhaust, I accidentally turned the header up like this just for a second, and yeah, a bit of oil. A bit of oil came out of there. Let's go bring it over here to this oil pan, see how much more we got in there. Oh yeah. Never good when you're dumping oil out of your headers. Well, I was hoping to be able to see some carnage, but it doesn't look like we're there yet. So let's move on over to the driver's side, get that off. Real quickly, I got one of these for Christmas for my wife. Game changer as far as getting light everywhere you need it when you're working. LED light bar headlamps, pretty awesome. I'll put an Amazon link in the description down below if you guys are interested in one of these. It completely fills your field of vision because it wraps around your head, and it's light because it's LED, not one of the ones that has the big light hanging on the front. It doesn't get in your way. Really like it. Check out the link if you want to. I'll put it down below. Now we got the wheel out of the way on the driver's side. You can see this one is quite a bit easier to get to. I mean, you can see the top four, just because this driver's side header is more like a standard header and sweeps straight back. And the bottom ones, the back two are a little bit more difficult to get to, but not nearly as bad as the other side. So let's get to ripping that guy off. Not sure if I'm gonna have to pull the fender liner out again. We'll find out. Oh, holy crap. There's even more chunks over here. I wasn't expecting to find pieces on the driver's side. Another piece there. Gonna add that to my collection over here. Anyway, a little over halfway done with the driver's side here. Surprisingly enough, none of the studs stayed in on the other side. Almost all the studs are staying in on this side, which is actually making it harder because they're jam nuts. Just about got this nut, the forwardmost bottom nut off the header there. Then I got three more. The three more are the hard ones to get to back here, and we'll pull this header out. And gotta remove the O2 sensor over here too. I'm not sure where I left off on the last clip. I haven't worked on the truck in a couple of weeks, but today we're getting back to it. I kind of made an executive decision that I'm going to pull the body off for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be more interesting since we do have access to the lift here. We should be able to pull the body off. I think I left off last. I was struggling to get this header off on this side. I did get most of the bolts off, but not all of them. I figured it'd be a lot easier to get to them once the body's up. I've started on detaching the body from the frame, and I just want to go around and show you guys what I've detached so far. One, so I have record of it so I can remember how to put it back together, and two, I think it's interesting to see because mostly you see guys pull engine up out of the engine compartment, but we're going to be, since we have access to the lift, we're going to be pulling the body up off the frame. So far I've disconnected a grounding strap back there from the frame to the body. Still got to disconnect the parking brake from the frame there. I've disconnected the fuel line right here with this quick disconnect. Once we get the truck down, we'll figure out where this is going. We'll disconnect that. Disconnected the fog lights on both sides. I'm trying to get everything underneath that I can disconnected before we go up top and start disconnecting stuff in the engine compartment. I broke off the body bolt here, which I'm super excited about. Coming under here, I've disconnected, I think that's the power steering cooler. Yeah, I've disconnected the trans cooler. I'm in the process of getting the intercooler disconnected, so I got the cold side pulled off the intercooler. I got this pipe completely removed. It's sitting over there on the shelf. Oh yeah, and by the way, there's my new shelf. Got that in. Got all the hot side piping up on the top shelf, plus the air cleaner. And then started putting the cold side piping on the second shelf down, just to stay a little more organized. I'm working on getting the intercooler free. Once it's unbolted, I have to get behind the grill here to unbolt the top side of the intercooler. But once that's free and these two bolts are free here, I should be able to pull the intercooler straight out the bottom here. Got the body bolt out on this side. Coming over to the passenger side. The O2 sensor, holy cow, it's covered in oil, believe it or not. Got that tucked up and away when we took the header off this side. We got the vacuum lines for the four-wheel drive. They have a quick disconnect over here. Got those disconnected, and down here out of the way. I noticed I got another grounding strap here I need to disconnect. Disconnected the other big one on this side back there. Yeah, we're well on our way. Once we get to the top side, we'll disconnect the radiator and the electric fans and all that good stuff. So, oh, sorry, I don't want to blind you here. So I'm just gonna keep cranking away on the stuff on the bottom side. This isn't gonna be one of those fancy videos where I go through and do the time lapse of everything. It just takes too much time for me to do that. I just want to keep cranking along here. I'll just keep giving you updates as we go. Took the radiator cover off here so that I could get to the top of the intercooler down here, the intercooler bracket. Got these 2 bolts out that was securing the top of the intercooler. Now I'm going to raise the truck back up, get back underneath, and drop the intercooler out the bottom. Alright, intercooler's all unbolted, so it's loose here. Just going to drop it out the bottom. Alright, so we got the intercooler out. A little bit of oil in there. Not anything crazy. But I wanted to show you something. I pulled the charge pipe off to get the intercooler out, and there's a bit of a rattling noise in there. So if you remember, my blow-off valve started making a different noise, making that sound. It turns out a piece of my blow-off valve just hanging out in there. So I'll be curious to take that blow-off valve apart and see what's going on with that. That can't be good. Just a quick update here. I'm working on the body mount bolts. There's 6 inside the cab. One of them, the center one, you pull up this trim piece here. It's this one. Pull this one off. And I'm able to pull the carpet up just enough to get to that body bolt right here. So you can loosen it. Can't quite pull it out the top, but that doesn't matter. The nut comes off the bottom. For this body mount right here, the nut comes off the bottom, so you can leave that bolt in the hole. There's one back here, just in front. I already took it out, so you can see the hole down there. It's just in front of the jack tray there, and in order to get to it, take these 2 screws off this back panel here, and you'll be able to pull this forward enough to get a ratchet with an extension straight down on that bolt down there. There's one more up here, so you just take this panel off, this side panel off, pull the carpet up, and then there's a grommet right here. Pull this grommet up, and there's the last body bolt. I have not pulled that one out yet on the passenger side. So once I get those pulled out, I'll do the same thing on the driver's side, and the body should be free. Then we got to go into the engine compartment and make sure we got everything disconnected in there, and then hopefully we'll lift the body off this thing. Oh, and one more thing I didn't mention, I did disconnect the ABS lines on both sides. It's easy to see on this side because the fender liner's out. All the body bolts undone. Last stop underneath, hopefully last stop. I know now that I say that, we'll be back under here for something, I'm sure. But you got the transmission linkage here. Just got this quick disconnect that you slide up. Got some notches here, so there's a bit of adjusting on the transmission linkage, so that's kind of cool. Just unbolted the bracket from these 2 bolts here. Already got the front wheels put back on, so I think we're ready to put the truck back on the ground and start unplugging some stuff in the engine compartment and see if we can't lift this body. All right, so truck's on the ground. I want to run through here, point out at least some of the obvious things that need to come undone. We got wiring harness, which I've already started to unplug here. We got big ones. We got this one running down to the transmission that we got to unhook. These wires here that go down to the starter from the battery. We got the main power into the cab here disconnected, and also the alternator wire there. We're gonna have to disconnect one end of this hose that went down to my boost actuated cutout. Another harness underneath that'll need to be disconnected. I don't know which one's the transmission and which one's the engine harness, but either way, this half is gonna stay with the engine. We're gonna have to disconnect the AC for the lines going down to the compressor, and disconnect the radiator piping. I've already disconnected the harness here for the MAF and the intake air temp sensor, which is all in my slot style MAF right here. So that's all loose. I got some wires running into the cab, like my wideband 02. We'll just flop that up over the windshield because that can stay with the cab. Take this vacuum line off of my map sensor for the boost gauge. This vacuum line is gonna have to come off just like that. And we'll have to disconnect the brake lines. I think that's about it for now. So I got my grounding wires for my electric fans here. There's a quick rundown of the things I see so far. Once we get all those disconnected, we'll just double check everything. A lift is definitely good for checking the tensile strength of any wires or hoses that you forget to disconnect when you lift the cab. So here's one I didn't mention. This one seems like one that's worth mentioning because it looks like one that I would forget where it goes. So anyway, we got this vacuum line that runs across the front, kind of snakes around here. It's just zigzag shaped one, runs under here, connects up to this couple of T's over here. This is pretty crusty too. That one will probably get replaced. We got another grounding wire here that needs to come off. We got a grounding strap here that needs to come off. Just try to point stuff out as I find them here. And then also we got to disconnect the throttle and the cruise control. Looks like we can just undo the cables here and probably just take this bracket off. Will be easier than trying to take these plastic clips out of the bracket. So we got 3 bolts holding on the bracket there. Probably pull those off and lay those aside. And then we got one more vacuum line over here going to the bottom of this guy. Alright, we're making pretty good progress here. Starting to see an engine under all this mess. Radiator's peeing away down there into the bucket. Got a bunch of stuff disconnected. So we have this big wire loom that runs along the frame down there that we got to disconnect from these 2 connectors and drop that down. I've disconnected the brake lines from the master cylinder. I have not figured out how to disconnect the steering shaft yet, but we'll figure that out. I haven't looked too closely at it yet. My wideband sitting up there on the windshield. Just looking for anything else. When the radiator's done draining, we'll disconnect the lower radiator hose. I disconnected the grounds for the fan, so seeing quite a bit of room in front of the engine here. Disconnected the one of the heater core from the front. Can't reach the one in the back, but it looks like there's a bunch of slack in it here, so looks like we could actually lift the cab a little bit and maybe I can get to the one on the back there. Hard to tell if I can even disconnect them from where they come out of the cab there. Obviously that would be ideal. Anyway, we're getting really close to lifting this cab. Alright, so I am in the process of disconnecting the transcooler lines from the radiator here, and in case you were wondering if I know what I'm doing, I don't. So I just got back from the store. I had to pick up these quick disconnect lines. I thought you had to like unscrew this thing from the radiator, and I snapped off my overflow port in the process. So yeah, learning a few lessons as we go here. So should be able to pop those guys off with this little tool and continue on our way. Got the transmission cooler lines off, disconnected the ABS module, just gonna tuck that right there. I need to disconnect the steering now, and I think we're pretty close. All right, so over on this side, there is a quick disconnect on the heater core hoses. I'd never taken one off before, but there are two little tabs in there that are in these notches, but back there. So I was able to disconnect this one from the firewall. I don't need to disconnect this one because I already disconnected it from the front here. Just wanted to update you on that. All right, last couple things here. I did get the steering disconnected. It is the just one bolt loosens it off the splines down there on the steering box, and then it collapses up that way. Got the AC line disconnected from the canister back here, and this top line removed here along with the sensor from the line, and just pulled those over right here. Oh, and there was a harness to the transfer case underneath as well that went straight up to the body, so I'm glad I went back under there and double checked that. But I think we're ready to lift this thing up just at least a few inches, and then we'll double check everything, and then if everything looks good, we'll lift it the rest of the way up. All right, it's up a little bit. All right, everything's looking good so far. These wiring harnesses this way, got those up that way. Heater core lines. Bunch of random stuff down here. The power steering stays down. Steering rod goes up. We'll have to watch that steering shaft as it goes up, make sure it doesn't snag on anything over here. Looking good so far. None of the grounding straps are attached. See back in there, that's the wiring harness for the transfer case I was talking about. All right, everything's looking pretty good. Let's keep going up with it. I don't know how I missed it, but got these two lines right here. Gotta disconnect those two guys. Alright guys, we did it. It's up. No broken wires, just almost broke the wires up there by the air filter, but holy cow, this is insane. I have a cab up by the ceiling in my garage. So crazy. Look how wide that motor is. That's so cool to see all that sitting there. Now we got plenty of room back here. Look, I can just crawl under here and see all this stuff. Transmission, transfer case. Be a great time to pull that out and get it built for more power. Be a great time to be under here to redo some fuel lines for maybe some E85. Wow. Just crazy. Let me grab this light up here. Just crazy to be able to see the back of the motor like this. There's the IOC that I'd struggled to put in there under the firewall. Here's the vacuum cap that I was never able to really show you guys to plug off this vacuum line here. So cool. So weird. See the body sitting up there above the frame. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. Definitely stay tuned for some upcoming videos. Gramps is coming apart so it can really come together. If you're new to the channel, the new block is sitting over there in the garbage bag, built block. Gonna be replacing this one. Can't wait to get this guy lifted out of here. So many ways we could just pull it right out the side. So awesome. Anyway, we got to pull this guy up. There's definitely a hole or two in the block somewhere, so I'm excited to see where that's at. Still haven't found it yet, but this is exciting, getting me excited to keep going on this thing. So if you guys are enjoying these videos, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Back up here so we can get the full view. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great night. I'll talk to you next time.